the entrepreneur mindset. One of the reasons I wanted to spend time going over this, and I think this is important, is because in the last year I've had the opportunity to speak with probably 60 or 70 physical therapists for 30, 40 minutes a piece, talking about what their goals are and what they want. And then I've had the opportunity to have this free group that's got 4,000 people in it or more, and just seeing kind of the things people are looking at, what people are trying to accomplish, the questions they're asking, and seeing how far they are from where I am and where a lot of other more successful people are, and where's the gap and what's the difference. And the difference is, instead of just creating a job, what we want to do is create a business and create a system, an asset, something that as entrepreneurs is kind of how we need to think about business. It's something that's not taught in PT school. Business isn't taught in PT school, but the mindset isn't taught in PT school. So it's kind of like having a primary care physical therapist mindset to have a cash practice. Now it's how do we become a business owner and have the mindset of a successful business owner, and that's the PT entrepreneur mindset. So this is what we're going to cover. We're going to talk about the PT entrepreneur mindset. We're talking about investing in yourself, the money mindset, and 10x versus 10%, and GSD, or getting shit done and taking action. Okay?
GSD.
Just need a little
Can I have that in the
GSD.
accelerator program, please?
Right. The PT entrepreneur mindset. So there's a lot of times, what we need to do is look at two different things. And there's investments and there's expenses. Okay? Expenses are things that are expensive, or they're expensive to some people. Investments are things that you spend money on or spend time on, and down the road they return a greater value, or ideally they'll return a greater value. If you're in the stock market right now, the chance that you will have a good return on your investment in 15, 20 years is great, because historically the stock market has always gone up. Okay, if I get in the stock market right now and go, I want to double my money this year, there's not a great chance that I'm going to do that, because it's a short-term goal. But if you look at the stock market since it started, it's always has dips, but it's always gone up. Okay, so we're not talking about the stock market, we're talking about your business. And your business can always go up, or it can stay still and it can go away. But when choosing where to spend your time and money, entrepreneurs look at, am I going to get a return on my investment for the time here or for the money I spend, rather than, oh, that's expensive. So entrepreneurs look at different things, whether it's a treatment table. So the table that I have that's been with me for 20 years cost me $900 and change when I was a massage therapist. And then the other table I have that's lasted me more than, I've had it for 6 years now, that is still in as good a shape as it was the day I bought it. It cost me $1,100. But the table I spent $350 on, within a year was already rattly. The fabric is no longer holding up. And Derek didn't even see it because it's not even at the clinic. You know, it's like one of these things that's like, it's unsafe and, you know, it's a piece of junk. But I got it because it was light and less expensive to have a second table, but it wasn't the quality, it wasn't something quality, it was a bad investment because I went the cheap route. And that was before you could get them for $200 at Costco or on Amazon or eBay. So you have to know, okay, sometimes you pay for what you get. Sometimes you'll see that something doesn't warrant your time and investment because it's not really the return isn't going to be there. So like, what are they called? I always forget this, but the body weight treadmills. What's the company that makes there's that one. You know, these things, they cost. Yeah, the Alter G's. Yeah, thank you. So an Alter G, I had a client and she had an Alter G, and it was about $2,300 a month. And so she signed a 2-year lease. And in order to get out of the lease, she had to pay like $40,000 to get out of the lease early or something. And the promise is that you're going to get an Ultra G, and people are going to want to come for the Ultra G, and they're going to run on it, and you're going to make your money back. But even if you charge like $200 a session, you got to get 15 sessions a month or more. I mean, it's just to start to pay for it, and it takes up space where you could have a therapist and all this other stuff, and there's no return on it. That is something that you get in your business if you want it. That's not necessarily an investment. And then when you're looking at a return on investment, it is, am I going to be able to use this education, this object, the therapist, the person, or the knowledge to multiply myself, my time, my skill, my income? Or is it just going to add a little bit? And that's where we'll get to the 10x versus 10%. Is it going to add just a little bit? So entrepreneurs look at things as investments. Like, is this a good investment or not? Am I going to get a return on my investment? Is this thing that I'm doing going to give me a return? Is the continuing education I'm going to, is that going to help me with patients, or is that just going to help me feel more comfortable treating? Is it going to help me with a monetary income, or is it going to help me just feel like I know more? So there's people that and this isn't bad, is what we're taught, is that you need more certifications to be qualified. Or if you get out of PT school, you need to practice for 5 years before you're qualified to open a business. These are all kinds of myths. You need to be 5 years into the field to have enough experience to be good. Those are all kind of myths that we have to get to, but they don't create better business. Better business requires what you guys are doing is here learning about business, investing in your business knowledge, reading books, taking courses, working with coaches and mentors. So entrepreneurs also create systems. And a system is something as easy as a checklist that you print out of exactly what to do when you do it. Because what you're doing is you're thinking ahead to the day in which I'm going to offload this to someone else.
You said again, is a system, is a checklist of?
It's a checklist of an action you take over and over again. It's a way to replicate it. Okay? It can be a video that teaches you how to do it. It can be a checklist that walks you through the steps. It can be an email automation that takes people from point A to point B. It can be just a rule that you've set up that every time someone calls or every time someone becomes a patient, we send them a thank you card. That's a system. It's something that's expected to happen over and over again. And your systems run your business, and your people you hire run the system. So you hire people to be great personalities and to run the system that you've set up. So think ahead that, okay, in 5 years I know where I want to be. So right now as I set this up, when I figure out exactly how it's going to run, I need to write it down so that the next person can do it. While you have more time now, it's a great time to create the systems versus wait till you're really busy and go, shit, I need to hire an assistant. I didn't write any of this stuff down, and I've got 26 patients a week, and I don't have time to do anything else, and I have to do this, which is kind of what happened to me. I didn't have all of these things written down early on. I knew I wanted to hire another PT, and I had to hire an assistant first, so it took me 5 months to get everything down and prep to be able to hire the next person and find them, because I had to build the hiring funnel. I had to build, some of the things that I need them to do. I need to figure all that out. Now I've got it down where I know exactly what I need, and it's more easily replicatable, and I can teach it to someone to do it much faster than I was able to create it the first time. But when you're creating things the first time, you have to figure it out, but then you want to write it down so that it can be done, especially if it's something that's going to be done over and over again. And the next thing is don't do everything yourself. Successful entrepreneurs don't do everything themselves. Okay, check the ego at the door. That includes finding someone to help you who's already done it, to show you the shortcut to getting it done, and hiring other people to do the things for you that are not going to earn you money. So or where you can be spending your time selling or treating a patient if someone else is there to change the rooms, cleans, answer the phone. Greet patients, makes your time more efficient, to run your systems. So successful business owners and entrepreneurs have other people do things for them, and they learn what they need to do from others who've already been there. And it's about delegating. So one of the best ways you can delegate is to take a piece of paper, make a list of everything you do every day for a week. Okay, this is what I did. This is how long I spent on it. And then you can look at those things and put them in 2 columns. Okay, column 1 is the things only I can do. Column 2 is the things I could find someone else to do. And you may think you're the only one that can treat your patients, but you're not. You're the only one that can make decisions about your business, but you're not the only one that can treat the patients, not the only one that can answer the phones. So if you can hire someone else to do the work for you at less than you can earn for that time, that's the way to think about, how do I offload this? So can I hire someone to treat patients for me at $75 an hour if I can get $250 an hour? If I'm the one that sells the plan of care and I can hire someone else to do it, then I can sell more plans of care. If I can hire someone else to take the phone calls and greet the patients and change over the rooms, then I can see one more person in those 5 hours that justifies this person's salary. And then that person can answer the phones during that 5 hours instead of people just getting the answering machine. So if I'm treating patients from 8 to noon, I can see 9, 10, 11, 12. I can see 4 people. If I end at quarter till and I hustle and then I have to return phone calls and do notes. But if I have an assistant working for me, then I can see patients, do my notes, and they're there to answer the phone instead of missing out on the phone calls. So that's the most basic cash practice PT example I can give. And now it's, can I spend my time on growing the business, marketing, selling, and offloading the technical work, which in PT is a technical job in a business hierarchy, to other people to leverage my time and their work. It's all about buying my time back, or buying your time back, so that I spend less time working on the business and more time doing the things that I love, which is also treating patients. But Aaron's been doing that for 20 years. And if you're in the I love treating patients, there's no reason you should be offloading that yet. At some point you will want to. So you need to know that this is where it'll go. But right now for you, treating patients might be the thing that you do, but offloading some of the other pieces to an assistant who can help you just make your time more efficient. And then it's, can I find someone who can teach me so like the sales strategy I've talked to you guys about is something that I've learned from coaches and mentors. So it's, can I find someone to teach me how to do this without having to figure it out for 6 years? How to figure this, and that's why you're here. So that it's entrepreneurs don't do everything themselves. Also, 80% is good enough, and I mentioned this before. Is the strive for perfection stalls people out. People are trying to find perfect. Perfect in this world doesn't exist. Imperfect is beautiful, and imperfect is okay, and it helps people pay it. You can see when people are paying attention. People write in, hey, did you know you got this, spelling? You got a spelling mistake. Yeah, I saw that. Well, no, I didn't know that. Thank you for pointing it out. I can see you're paying attention. Is there can I help you with X, Y, and Z? It's a good conversation starter. But people will not launch their business because they're waiting for everything to be perfect, whether it's perfect timing, perfect ebook, etc. Perfect financial situation. It's just another excuse not to be uncomfortable. So investing in yourself is important, okay? Because you're your own best asset. Okay, it's about it's continuing education is great, but at this point for you guys, it's business education. It's business books, podcasts, listening to like audiobooks, working with coaches, working in like accountability partners, success partners, having other people who can help give you feedback, and where you're spending time working on your own personal growth. As I mentioned, coaches can be tremendously helpful in making business leaps. And so a couple of the things that have helped me with my coaches, when I started with a coach who was a PT, and I didn't know how to start a PT practice, and it helped me go from zero to actually having the business. I worked with a coach, was it last year and a half ago, with Lewis Howes, and he told me, he's like, Aaron, sell the value that you're providing, not the, he's like, don't undersell the value. Don't try to sell the payment plan. He's like, sell the full value of what you're providing. And as soon as I did that, within a week, I had already made my money back from the coaching program and course that I had enrolled with him. And it's just, I keep having this go over and over again, and it's, and investing in myself and spending all the time in myself to grow my business and learn about business and read business books and learn about leadership, it pays off consistently. And so I think what happens is people go through, what I see the pattern with people is they go through PT school, they get $150,000 in debt, and they're like, well, okay, I'm $150,000 in debt, I've got all these loans, I need to pay off my loans before I can do anything else. But PT school only gets us so far. It doesn't give us the business piece of it, and it's kind of that idea of I've got these loans hanging over my head, stalls them out. And I know there's these like loan gurus that go out there, and I don't know. I haven't read their books. I'm not on the no debt side of things. I'm on debt is okay if you're able to leverage it for something greater. And that keeps people from moving forward as fast as they want. And government loans are great loans. Credit card loans aren't the best loans, but sometimes they're necessary. But a government school loan is okay. And I would rather put money on my credit card knowing that I'm going to get the money back later. Even if I don't get it financially, I know I've learned something. I can leverage that for something else because I've paid off credit cards before. I had $44,000 in debt from racing bikes. Like Visa and MasterCard were my best, sponsors, and they helped me get as far as I could in there. And that there was zero payoff to racing bikes financially, but it was all emotionally and mentally. And I got to the end, and I was like, I'm done. And that's why it's hard for me to ride now, because I burnt that all the way to the end. And I will ride now if someone wants me to ride with them and go socially ride, but I don't ride by myself, And one day maybe I'll get back to doing that. But
doing road racing?
Doing road racing. I used to do road racing, yeah. I raced all of the United States and in Europe.
Oh, cool.
I've done some mountain biking and cyclocross. But that's where like the business education versus clinical education comes in. Like clinical education is going to get us somewhere, but business education is the thing that's going to take your practice and move the needle forward. And we get out of PT school as competent providers, which is still 10 steps ahead of your patients. And so with all the time you spent in PT school learning how to be a great PT, if you can only spend a fraction of that learning how to be a good business owner, you're going to be successful in business. Compared to a lot of the people you probably work for who started a PT practice because they had to, or because it fell in their lap, or because they thought there was no other way and they didn't figure out how to do it, and they're struggling, and they're still accepting wherever the healthcare plan is only going to pay $35 a visit no matter what. And they're like, well, I'll just take it because I want to take all insurance. It's like, Luke, was that you at lunch that was talking about that? Yeah. It's like, come on, you're losing money. I talked to I think it was at WebPT's event one year, and I asked how many people know, like what's the average, I think it was the highest copay, what's the lowest copay, what's the average amount that you're getting reimbursed, how many here are in network with a with a plan that's paying you less than your cost to do business, and like 25 hands went up. I'm just like, are you kidding me? And it's like you're losing money.
And it goes down every year.
Yeah, it goes down every year. So that gets me into, I want to go like the money mindset. So a lot of people, the money mindset's important, and it's a difficult one for everyone because a lot of people are brought up thinking about money in different ways because of our parents and how our parents were. And a lot of times our parents aren't entrepreneurs. So like my dad is not an entrepreneur. Anytime I tell him, when I told him how much I was paying to go to my to work with my coach, I was paying $23,000 to go work with a coach, fly out there to California and work with him for 4 hours, he looked at me like I was crazy. He was like, why are you doing this? And he just doesn't get it. He was a physician that was thrown into business ownership because of how physicians operated in the, back in the day. They just were all individual entities. And they made poor decisions leading to the non-sale of their practice to the local hospital system. And it's like all these poor business decisions. And so I grew up with a very different money mindset, but it wasn't the same one. It wasn't horrible, but it's like it wasn't money is bad. But a lot of people have the money is bad mindset. When money's bad, when things are expensive, when money does bad things, it's like I don't want to make more money. I think, and then people have trouble getting off the ground, moving into business where now I am, asking $150 a visit or $185 a visit. Even PT as a career doesn't give us a good money mindset because we're worth a copay. But yet the practice is charging or billing $350 per session or $350 per unit, but as the employee you're only seeing the $25 copay.
One thing that I've heard a lot of that I remember when I worked outpatient was, or even in home care, they get a bill and they go, well, the PT didn't do anything.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything with me. There's maybe some leg kicks.
Right.
And they're getting a bill for like $200+.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes. So I've had someone show me the charges from the hospital they were working at, and it was $500 a unit. They did a $1,000 visit in 30 minutes. So what I want to reinforce to you guys is that money is good. And money is good, and money is a resource that can help you do lots of things. Okay? And money is something that, when you think of money as being as good as money is this resource that can, the more money I have, the more money I can donate. The more resources I can provide to local charities. So my coach Bedros, what they do with their franchise is this winter they went to 4 Targets in their area and bought out all the Toys for Tots. They spent $250,000 buying all the toys for Christmas for Toys for Tots. They just took all the owners in that area and they donate hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars a year because, he's got like they're $10 million a month business, this franchise. And he's using it because he didn't have it. He's like, I didn't have it when I was younger, so we're going to get more money so we can give more money to the, food, like lunches for kids and Toys for Tots and Shriners Children's Hospital. And so, because it's a resource that he can use and leverage. It's a resource that we can all leverage. And so when you think of it as an energy for exchange of time or service, rather than something that's expensive or that costs a lot or does harm to people, because when we didn't have money, we suffered. When we made the wrong decisions, we suffered. It's, if we lose money, okay, it's a resource. Money replenishes. If you have a job, every 2 weeks, money comes back in your bank account. How do we then choose to use that and invest it so that next month I get that same replenishing, but then I also get the bonus, and then I get the next bonus, the next thing. It's, can I use someone else's money, like my patient's money, to then reinvest in the clinic in buying another treatment table or moving into another location? Because it's not money that I have, it's money that's coming in. It's energy that's coming in that I can then repurpose to the next thing that's going to allow me to offer a better service or learn more in business. So the number one thing that my dad taught me, who he was not a great entrepreneur, but he was very passionate about his patients, was that, and the reason I am a cash-based practice owner is because he always taught me you do right by your patients. You work for your patients. You make the choices and decisions that your patients need primary, and then after that, the money was going to come. And then my part of it is the money is going to come, but you have to charge the fair amount. And $75 for physical therapy or $120 for physical therapy to me is not quite a fair amount for patients, or it's not a fair amount for us because we're starting to undervalue ourselves. And it's not a fair amount because it's not distinct enough for people to want to pay attention to what you do. So at $25 copay, people don't care. You know, around $100, it is not a $25 copay, but it's their massage therapist, Rolfer, is charging more than $100. Owen is charging $150 or $165. $150. He's a massage therapist, been in the field for 15 years. He's charging $150.
Yeah.
So, and he's booked out 3 months. I know, it's insane.
Damn.
Right? Right? And because people know what he's doing, he knows his promise, he knows some marketing, he's been doing this for a while, and he's good. But he also only works for himself. But when you charge the right amount and people pay, they're going to do what you ask. They're going to pay attention. The other thing about money is that people don't think big enough. Like, I just want to earn $4,000 a month so that I can replace my PRN job. I just want to earn $80,000 a year because I'm making 65 and I'm struggling. I just need to earn 80. But what I want you to think about is that if you had twice that, what more could you do for your community if you had extra income? How else could you support your community, the people in your life, things that you can create that can leave a legacy if you think bigger? Because if you're not thinking big enough, you can't create that. If you think big enough, like, we should all be thinking multiple 6 figures, even 7-figure businesses. Because there are people out there who own 100 PT practice, like the owners of PT Praxis or ProAxis and Breakthrough. These guys are earning multiple 7 figures a year. They're PT practice owners. Like, we don't have to have 100 clinics to think big. We can have 1 clinic and think big, but that's a different level. And where do they get that from? I don't know where they got it from, but it's a level of, I'm going to own an empire that's going to heal my community and provide for other people in multiple different ways. And it's not just about providing PT Mill cookbook therapy franchise. It's providing excellent service that patients need, getting the compensation that you deserve, that patients want to pay you, that is worth to them, so that they get better, they get the priceless result for just a couple thousand. You can afford to live the way you want because you just spent 6 figures on PT school. You can pay that back and have a nice, home and a dog and food, and send money to the local homeless shelter. Do things that you need for, giving back to the kids and all that stuff. I mean, it's all there. We've got John. I work with one of my coaching clients, and he wanted to give back, but he was only charging $75. And I said, why don't we raise your rates and let people know? And you can have a sliding scale for people in your church community, but let's raise your rates and let's give 10% back to your church or to your church organization, and just make that a part of your policy. And so when people come from the church, they know that anything above a certain amount or a certain percentage is going back to the church. So then they get to give back to the church. And he was like, I can totally get on board with that. And so that's how we raised his rates, because he didn't want to overcharge people in this community, but anything over that rate for them was just going to go back to the church organization anyways. And so when you think big, when you think bigger than that, and even bigger than that, we don't have to hit that mark. We just got to get close. And when we get close, we can start to make a big impact in the world. And that's what it's all about. And there's so many people in the world. There's 350 million people in the United States, which is a shitload of people. That's a lot of people. There's 1 million people every year in Nashville. I mean, there's no reason that any PTs in Nashville right now need to be worried that someone's going to steal all their patients and take their lunch. There's just plenty of people moving into town.
That's why I never get these non-competes. It's like,
Yeah.
who do you think I'm going to see all week?
Right.
It's a narrow mindset.
That's a scarcity
you see
mindset.
These people and you feel like that's it.
Yep.
And it's not true.
That is a closed system mindset. There's only one pie, and if you get a bigger piece, that means I get a smaller piece. An abundance mindset is there's plenty of pieces to go around, and they just keep coming out of the conveyor belt. There's just more and more pieces. And this part of the money mindset is part of that, but it's also, if you've never imagined how much money it is, it's just like, don't limit yourself by the insecurity that you have or someone else has given you about how much money you should be charging or how much money you should earn, because you can do so much more with it once you have it and once you start having this like positive mindset around it.
So like taking that, I guess, a step further. So like you're in your community, you're doing that. So if you want to think more globally and be able to have a more widespread impact, is that where like online consulting, those types of things come into play?
Yes.
Like being able to
Yes.
like branch out and be like, okay, well, if I can do this here, I can then extrapolate that to.
It can be. I'm going to be in this. I'm going to open a successful practice in this community. Now that's busy, and now I'm going to replicate it over here, and serve 2 communities. It's okay. I'm going to take what I've made here and replicate it into an online course, which I can help everyone in the United States. It can be, I'm going to take this one location and create an amazing business out of it, and we're going to give 10% of all our profit at the end of the year every month to the local charity organization nearby. We're going to do fundraisers for them, and the more we get, the more people come in, the more we can donate. So when I was at the Fitness Business Summit this spring, Bedros gets up there and he's like, okay, I've got all my Man Up gear, right, in the back, and all the proceeds go to charity. Go to the Children's Shriners Hospital. And okay, what else are they doing? They're giving away money. They're throwing out money eggs. If you guys saw those at SSPT Live, that's where we got the idea. And so I caught like 3 or 4 of them. I was like, oh, I just got $40. And he gets up there and he says, all the proceeds from this stuff back there go to charity. And I was like, well, they just threw out $40. I'm just going to go put it back in the pot and get myself a water bottle and a T-shirt. And the proceeds go to charity. And it's just like, oh, I want to keep spending money with him because I know that his value proposition is that not only are you going to learn business and learn how to grow a fitness practice through him, he's also going to give a percentage of what he earns back to the community in these 3 different ways. And it's a very powerful statement, and it allows you to do a ton, and then everyone starts to win. So it's a great question. But yes, online is great. Multiple locations, more people, replicating yourself, more therapists. Those are all ways you can grow.
Like as far as telehealth goes, is that something where, like, or do you just consider consulting as opposed to telehealth?
Telehealth is still trading time for money.
Okay.
So it's not bad, but it's still trading time for money. If you have someone else doing the physical therapy, then Dawn's not trading time for money, and they can do the telehealth. But you want to get away from trading time for money.
Yeah, because it won't be. You still have to physically be in front of the computer for that entire.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so entrepreneurs also think about, how do I 10x something or add 10%? Okay, so it's, what can I do today? Like, what's my primary objective for today that's going to make the biggest impact on my business? Versus the thing that's 10% is just, 10% value or something I really just want. Like, okay, I want nice kettlebells. I don't need nice kettlebells, but I want nice kettlebells. Okay, but if I hire another therapist or an admin assistant, that's going to 10x my business. Okay, I might go to a Con Ed course and learn a bit more myself, but that's not going to make Aaron a better therapist. That's just going to make, at this point, after 20 years, that's just going to give me something more interesting to learn about, think about, but that's not going to double my practice. If I hire Tyler, and now we can see, and now Tyler's busy, and I hire someone else, and now we can have 50 people coming through our office every week instead of 20, well, then, you know, I'm more than doubling my business. And if I can, then Aaron's not doing it, and I have Tyler and someone else doing it, then, you know, we're really multiplying what I can do with my time and what we can do with our time. So it's, what can you do that will add 10x to your business, make a 10x growth to your business versus just 10%. And you want to focus on the money-making tasks first. So that might be treating patients. That might be just selling a plan of care and having your staff fulfill the plan of care, or your other therapists fulfill the plan of care. That would be returning phone calls of people that inquired about physical therapy before you return the phone calls for people that just need to reschedule or their appointment or cancel. Like if you're full and someone calls and says, I need to cancel my appointment Wednesday, you call them first, because then that might open up a slot for someone who's new. But it's like, okay, how do I prioritize things? So I work on the things that are, you know, so they're going to provide the biggest bang for my time. So going to Facebook and answering questions on Facebook isn't as important as returning phone calls to people that have called your clinic. See what I'm saying? So it's like a priority thing. And then there's the idea fairy. As entrepreneurs, we all have great ideas, and you know, want to serve multiple people, like swimming and chronic pain and online course and all these other things, right, Chelsea? But it's like, yeah. So you pick the one thing the one thing that works, that's going to get you to where you want to go, and you focus on that one. And the idea fairy comes in, you write down the ideas and go, okay, that's a good idea, but if you start focusing on that, it splits your time, and you start going down another path, and you don't make as much forward progress because your time is split. So how to get shit done and take action? Well, action trumps perfection 100% of the time. And if you make a decision and it turns out to be the wrong decision, you just fix it. You course correct. You go back and adjust. It's because people get into a place where they don't make a decision that they don't move forward. They don't grow. They don't succeed. It's the decision between which EMR do I use? You know, do I use Acuity? Do I use Intake Q? Do I just use WebPT? Let me go get everyone's opinion on it and figure out which one. Like, to some extent, there's some value to that, but it occurs a ton. And people ask these questions. It's like, this is not the decision-making process that you should be spending a majority of your time on. It's just choose one and go for it. And if you get down the road and you're like, this was the wrong one, like Mike, then you choose to change.
You don't make a big deal about it. I
Yeah.
said, I lost money, so I learned not
Yep.
to do that again. You know,
Yep.
That's it.
Exactly. And you just kind of keep doing it. But what happens is people get to a point where they have all these little decisions to make, which in the scheme of things are very small, but seem at that time really big because you've never had to make them before. And it keeps them from moving forward and moving through their practice. And the next thing you know, it's a month later, practice isn't off the ground, no patients in the door, where really, like, the benefit there is, you know, is there someone else who's already done it? Say, what did you use? Okay, go. Boom. What'd you use? All right, let's take that and go and do it. And that's what I've done with my coaches. Is I pay my coaches to tell me what action to take, what system to put into place, and so that I've got it done, and then I don't have to worry about that. My decision is on, you know, am I going to focus on back pain or shoulder pain or chronic pain? What is my audience? I'm going to spend time figuring out who my perfect patient is, who my audience is, and what they want, so I can speak to them correctly. Okay, you want to make a list, use a daily planner. So it's like we've talked about lists of contacts, lists of tasks, prioritize them. You can use a daily planner to help you focus Most successful entrepreneurs have an idea of what tomorrow is going to be. They know what tomorrow is. They know what I need to focus on tomorrow, so they'll journal at night. I don't journal at night as well as I should, but I time block. And I say, okay, tomorrow I'm going to do this during this time. I may not get it all done during that time, but I have it blocked off where I know, and kind of like my calendar is my journal, where like I put on my calendar, tomorrow I'm working on these things. Before the end of the day, this is what I need to work on tomorrow. It's a great way to start planning your time, and even take one day of the week and make it just a work on your business day, an administrative day, and not a seeing patients day, so that all day you're in that same frame of mind.
Do you feel that if we were able to get to a point seeing 4 or 5 patients a day for 3 days,
Mm-hmm.
do you feel that that one day a week is enough to satisfy the needs of the business, or is it okay to maybe add on another 3 hours on the day you finish treating? Because I feel like that's that one day that almost might not be enough.
To do administrative?
Yeah, to kind of if you're working on a different project,
It depends on what you're working on and what your goals are. If you want to create a successful cash practice, you could see 6 people for 3 days a week, and that's 18. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, that's 18 people a week. That's plenty.
yeah.
18 is a good number, and you can earn plenty of money doing that. And you can spend Tuesday and Thursday working on the systems in your business and working on growing an online something. Now, that's perfectly fine. You could see 8 people 3 days a week. And people will come, and then you got 24 people a week. And now all day long you're doing treatments, and then there's 2 days where you're focused not in your treatment brain, but on your kind of administrative, creative,
Gotcha.
getting shit done brain. Yep. And then you can do that, and you can hire someone else to treat patients.
As I look at it, if you're only working 4 or 5 hours a day by treating patients, and then the rest of the day you're not working on the business for at least a couple hours to fulfill that 8 to 10 hour day, it's what are you doing with that time if you're kind of sitting around not doing much? But I know other people have different priorities than I do, so I look at it from my perspective. Once I get done with work at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and I go home and I didn't do any of this,
Yeah.
I'd probably go out of my mind. Or I'd be doing something else and I'd feel guilty almost that I didn't work on something.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasted time.
So that's where one of the things you do with your daily planner is say, what can I get done tomorrow? So that if I get that one thing done, I'll feel satisfied with my day, and you do that first. And that may be only just treating patients. Say, all I got to do today is treat my 5 patients, and then I'll be satisfied with my day. The other thing that I want you guys to do is turn the notifications on your phone off.
Yeah, I only let through text messages and voicemail.
Yep.
Everything else is I've turned to the off
Yep.
place. I couldn't handle it anymore.
Turn off notifications of Facebook and Instagram, emails, etc. And so then what you do is you create time to go check those during your day. So in the morning you can check your email in the morning and the evening. You can check your social media, so that you're just responding to social media once a day. You're posting once a day, you're responding once a day. Or you can do twice a day. But you don't need to have them on, because then social media is your phone's controlling your life and you're not controlling your life. And my wife was getting back on, she's like, I got my Instagram account, and 3 days later she's like, I can't handle this, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, turn off your notifications, She's like, she went and I deleted my account already. And I'm like, all right, Andra. But but the notifications being off is important. It's a huge one, because you're not getting dings. But so I had to go back in and put my, I got one that's giving me a notification right now, but I had to go back in and make it so it showed up my number on the text messages, so I knew there were even actually text messages there. Because she's like, are you not checking, you're not listening to your phone? I'm like, no, I got all my notifications off. Because I didn't know I was actually getting text messages, and because I don't get a lot of text messages and go look at them. But when you do that, that'll allow you to spend your time focused on the task. Even if you have to just turn your phone off or put it on airplane mode. People say just put it on airplane mode during the hour you're working, and I just think we should turn the notifications off, and then you'll hear a ring, and you can go check your phone when you want to, not when the phone tells you to. Yes, but you have to have notifications for when I go live on Facebook. That's exactly right. Thank you, Derek. Any questions about that stuff?